You know, this is pre-filmed. You can tell by the makeup, by the hairstyle, and by the black shirt that I'm not taking off because I have self-tan on and I'm trying to cover this blotchiness up right now, okay? So I'm sorry. I really wanted to make this because I know how much you guys love my Tinder stories. I didn't want to make this a worst Tinder dates part 6, I believe. I believe I'm on 6 right now. Because I don't really have that many that I can think of right now, and some that I also like don't know if I want to share yet. So it's just kind of like I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna share this one story with you. So this is kind of a worst Tinder date. I'm gonna categorize it as that, even though he was not bad. I want to give a little disclaimer. He's a very cute person. He's very attractive. He might be watching this. We had fun. He was very nice. But it was just kind of awkward, and that's more so why I'm making this video. It wasn't anything like he was a terrible person or, you know, it was this awful, terrible Tinder date. I'm just literally sharing it because it was like awkward and funny, and it's just like, of course, I was like, can you fucking not? I'm gonna share with you guys my most recent what the F Tinder date. So this happened a couple weeks ago, and I was feeling pretty lonely, and I was also kind of going crazy. Like, if you've seen my Uber story time, I was expressing how I went to the bar and how I did all this crazy shit, and how like that's just kind of like how I was living for the last month. Everything's definitely like calmed down and cooled off. I'm not as wild as I was being for like a couple weeks. During that wild time, I was on Tinder and Bumble, and I was talking to people, and I was literally like ready to go on a date like every night, and I haven't been in that mindset for so long. And I was like, what is happening to me? Right when I got Tinder back, I would say like a month ago, I ended up seeing this guy. He seemed really chill. Like, we had a lot of things in common. We had the same music taste. We loved going to like raves and festivals. He was like my age. He seemed really cool and laid back, and just like someone that I would probably be down to go on a Tinder date with. So I was like, okay, this guy's gonna be chill. Also, reminder, when I say Tinder date, the term is used very loosely. It's not like we're actually like ready to be like boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, there was never any of that talk. We were like specifically hanging out just as friends. One night when I was just like doing my thing and hanging out, he decided that he wanted to hit me up and see if I wanted to actually meet this night. And we'd only been talking for like 2 days, and I feel like that's not really a thing that I like. I really like to be talking to the guy for multiple weeks, maybe even a month before I meet up with him nowadays, because I just feel like it gives you better chemistry and it's less awkward. Because the guys that I've met recently, I've met them like right away, and it was just like kind of awkward because like we just didn't know anything about each other. We kind of like didn't know what we were doing, like didn't know where we were hanging out, if that makes sense. But I was feeling crazy, like I was saying, and I went ahead and took the chance and decided to go hang out with him. My nerves had literally gotten the best of me because this was the first Tinder boy I was going to be hanging out with since September. So I was not ready. I was not in my mindset. I was not being, you know, my little crazy self that I used to be with Tinder. I was nervous. And to calm my nerves, I decided to have a couple shots. So I took a couple shots of alcohol, and he was like, do you want to meet at blank? We were going to be at the mall right next to me. And I was like, honestly, can you come pick me up because I took a couple shots? And he was like, sure, absolutely, no problem. So I was like a little bit buzzed, a little bit, I wouldn't say drunk, I was just buzzed. And so he finally calls me and says that he's out front. And I walked out, and I was nervous as ever, like so nervous, and I don't know why. Like, I didn't think that we were going to be like in a relationship. I knew we were just hanging out to hang out, and we were just going to have a chill time. But he did kind of make it sound kind of like I was unsure of what he was going to do because he was picking me up. He like wanted to take me somewhere kind of like surprisey, but like it wasn't like more than that. We never talked about being more than that or anything. I was just kind of like, well, what are his intentions? And of course, I found out. So I get in the car, and he's really nice. I mean, he's cute, and I'm just like, okay, this will be pretty fun. And so he ends up telling me that he wants to go to like this view lookout spot back where he lives, which is a little more in South Orange County. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's totally fine. So I'm still a little bit buzzed, and he tells me that he has beers in the back. So I'm assuming like when we go to this lookout spot, we're both gonna like drink a little bit. And that's pretty much what happened. So we just kind of like talked and bonded over music and talked about YouTube and stuff, and it was really chill. Like, I could tell that he was like really cool, and I could see him being a friend, but never more than that. Like, I wasn't romantically interested, and I don't think he was either. So we end up driving to this lookout spot. We get out, and he gets beers from the back, and he's gonna be drinking too. So we walk to our spot, and he just like chugs some beers, and he gets himself kind of like drunk at this point. I don't know if it was drunk, maybe it was just tipsy, but he looked kind of drunk. And he also finished mine because I couldn't, and I was just kind of like over it at that point, like over drinking. So we just kind of chilled and hung out at the lookout spot. This was fine, everything was good. And then we got back in the car, and things were just like kind of weird, and I kind of sensed like, okay, like, this is just another Tinder date, like this is just another funny story, this is just like what the hell. Basically everything we talked about in the car was like really deep. We didn't just talk about our careers, we didn't talk about our families, we didn't talk about our friends, we didn't talk about what we like to do. We talked about like God and spirituality and religion and politics. And that topic, if I don't get along with a person in that sense, like if we're opposite on views, it doesn't go down very well, and I really don't enjoy it by any means. So I was not enjoying it by any means because like everything I said, he would kind of like come back at it with like an argument or just be kind of like, ugh. It kind of just made me feel inferior. It kind of made me feel bad about my beliefs. Etc. And I was just kind of like not having it with this dude. Like, really, you're gonna sit here and fight with me over this stuff? And it was just like kind of awkward. I don't know. I just like really didn't like it. He was tipsy, so he wasn't planning on driving for like an hour or something like that until he kind of like calmed down from it. And so I was like coming down from it a little bit, and I was like kind of getting like, ugh, whatever, I'm over it. Getting to know the person, basically, I could see that we were not compatible. So, you know, we had our conversation, whatever, an hour went by, I really had to pee, so we ended up going home. And now I'm a nice person, so I always extend the offer. I really shouldn't, I really fucking shouldn't, like seriously, but I was like, you know, whatever, like, he can come up and hang out. I can tell that he still wants to hang out, whatever, like, let's just do that. So, dumb Olivia, I know. But I had already known this guy. I kind of already, like, felt like I could trust him in a weird way. So, I invited him back up to my apartment. And he, of course, took the offer. So, we came up here, and we were just drinking a little bit more. I really wasn't, but he had like another beer or two. He was sitting on a couch, and I was sitting on the couch where I was just laying down, like talking to him. And then we're just talking about music again, and I'm just kind of like, whatever, I'm over it. I want to go to sleep. Like, you know, I'm not thinking that this is going to be like a Tinder story time or anything. Nothing really crazy was happening. I just wasn't like feeling it. Like, we know like we're not going to have like a second hangout or date, you know what I mean? So I start blasting music, all this like new music that I found, and I was super excited about it, and I was still a little bit buzzed, so I was like dancing around, and I was kind of just like having fun, and I was literally dancing by myself to this music in my living room right here. And so he like looks at me, and he walks over, and he sits on the like chair of my couch right next to me as I'm dancing, and I'm still dancing because I'm like, oh, do I just like stop, or like do I keep going? Like, what do I do? Because I'm starting to get uncomfortable. I feel like he's trying to make a move. And so he just looks straight at me, and he goes, do you know how bad I want to kiss you right now? And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And so I was like, you know, whatever. Literally hadn't made out with anyone in like months, so I was like, let's fucking do it. Like, why not? And so I end up like making out with this kid, and right away, he tries to take me onto the couch. My little couch that almost is like a bed, and he takes me on that, kind of trying to like lay me down and like go farther. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, bitch, like you can think what you want, like you can have your fun kissing me right now, but like we're not doing more. Like, and so he's like laying me down, and he won't stop, and he's like kind of forceful, but like I'm, you know, definitely one to stand my ground. He was just getting very like aggressive, I guess that's the word. He's like, just tell me when to stop, just like tell me when like enough is enough. And I'm like, well yeah, like I'm not trying to have sex. And I like literally let him know, and he's like, he just keeps going, and he's kind of trying to like avoid the situation. And so we had like this whole just like awkward makeout situation, and he kept trying to get me to go farther. He kept trying to take off my shirt, he kept trying to take off my pants, and he kept trying to like make it go to level 2 or level 3. So I'm like, no. And I kept having to tell him like, no, I'm not down to have sex, like, no. And he keeps pulling on my shirt, and I'm like pulling it back up like, bitch, do not touch the shirt. Leave me alone. Thank you. He's like a little bit tipsy and he's obviously fucking a boy, so he's horny as shit. And I'm just like, well, this boy thinks that I'm here for a hookup. This boy literally thinks probably right now in his head that I was on Tinder to hook up with boys. And I guess this is my whole problem with Tinder, is that Tinder, people like to use it for hookups, and people probably think, without me saying it, that I am there for hookup as well. And like, it gets kind of awkward and he stops, and then he keeps going, and it stops, and it keeps going, and then he's just laying on the couch, and I'm sitting on the floor, and I've kind of like got off of him. I'm like over it. I'm like, well, it's not gonna go any farther than this, so like, let's just stop now. And so I'm on the floor talking to him while he's on the couch, and he like pulls down his pants, and he pulls out his fucking ween, and he's like whipping it around in a little circle, okay? Like, I'm not kidding. He's just like holding it and like whipping it. And he's like, you don't want to play with this thing? You don't want to play with it? You don't want to play with it? You don't want to like suck it? I'm not fucking kidding. I'm like, I've told you this entire time, I told you this entire fucking time that I'm not trying to do anything with you right now. I'm not trying to do anything with you right now. And now I've gotten off of you to try to make it less awkward, and you whipped out your dick in front of me so I could see it because you wanted to show me how proud you were of the size, and you want me to suck your little ween. Am I allowed to say that? It was like not cool, and I literally was just like laughing. I was just like, oh, okay, like you can whip it out, you can show me, like cool. I've seen one before, like you're fine, but like I'm good, you know what I mean? And so I obviously didn't do anything with it. I was like, okay, this guy just like, he needs to go because he's not gonna get what he wants and it's just gonna be awkward. And of course, who would have guessed, right as I officially tell him, you know, no, and he knows that he's not getting any tonight, he goes, okay, well, I'm tired, I'm gonna head home. And I just like, you know, don't care at all. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm ready to get him out of here. Not in like a mean way if he's watching this, whatever. I'm just like, I wasn't trying to hook up, so why would you stay there? So he doesn't know how to get down, so I end up walking him down to his car, and then he's like, you want to smoke? And I'm like, alright, I guess I'll take a hit and go to bed. We got really high together for probably like 10 minutes, and then I just got out of the car, went upstairs, passed out, and then literally after that, I think he like Snapchatted me once or twice, and that was like literally all I've ever heard from him. So that was that. I honestly thought that that story was kind of worthy of sharing, and I just want to remind you guys, you know, my story times, not every story time can be like, oh my god, I almost died, or oh my gosh, like something crazy. I just like to share my experiences. Like, I'm not here to make every story time crazy. And I know a lot of people almost get kind of mad when the story isn't like, you know, I got kidnapped. And it's like, well, I'm not gonna get kidnapped or have crazy things happen to me every day. So I'm just basically sharing my life with you rather just crazy experiences. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Just seriously beware of Tinder and Bumble. I really have no desire to go on actual dates. I'm still on them actually. I went back on just for fun, but I'm not trying to date anyone from there right now. I'm honestly not even trying to date at all right now, unless the right guy comes along magically, but I don't know if he will, so we'll have to see. Anyways, that is all for my recent Tinder date story time for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it.